Hi everyone, today we're going to continue looking at solving equations, but this time we're going to look at equations that contain fractions in this section, and then in the next section we're going to look at equations that have decimals. And you can solve them just as we've been solving any equations, except there's some tricks that you can use to eliminate the fractions. So if I take a look at this first example here, I have x minus 3/4 equals 1/20. So if I want to get rid of those fractions, what I can do is I can look at the denominators of the fraction, which are the bottom, so 4 and 20. And what I need to do is find what's called the least common denominator, or LCD. And that's just a number that 4 and 20 will both go into. So 4 and 20 both divide into 20. So I'm going to multiply both equations, or both sides of the equation, by 20. Okay, so what I need to do is now use the distributive property, which is a property we talked about in class. We're going to distribute the 20 to each of the terms in the equation. So I'm going to have 20x minus, and now when I multiply 20 times negative 3/4, I'm just going to multiply the top numbers together. So 20 times negative 3. So that's 60 over 4. And then equals, now I have 20 times 1. 20 times 1 is 20. And then I'm going to put it back over 20. And now what you can do is you can simplify. So 60 divided by 4 actually gives you 15. And 20 divided by 20 is 1. And now I'm going to solve for x. So to isolate x, I need to add 15 to both sides. And 1 plus 15 gives me 16. And then I need to divide by 20. And I get x equals 16/20. Okay, that is not simplified though, so I want to reduce that. And I know that 4 goes into 16 and 20. That would be what's called its greatest common factor. So I'm going to divide 16 and 20 by 4. 16 divided by 4 is 4, and 20 divided by 4 is 5. So you get 4/5 for your answer. In letter B, I'm going to do the same thing, except here my denominators are 6 and 3. So my least common denominator, or my LCD, would be 6, because 3 and 6 both go into 6. So I'm going to multiply everything by 6. So I have 6 times x over 6. And then I have 6 times 1, which is 6. And then here I have 6 times 4, which is 24 divided by 3. And in my next step, I'm going to simplify. So 6 divided by 6 is 1, and you're left with 1x, plus 6 equals 24 divided by 3 is 8. And now to solve for x, I'm going to subtract 6, and 8 minus 6 is 2. In letter C, I have something a little bit different, okay, as opposed to A and B. So in A and B, I was adding and subtracting. In C, I am multiplying. It's 1/3 times y. So what you could do is, remember, when you're multiplying and you want to move that, whatever it is you want to get rid of, you would do the inverse. So you would divide by 1/3. But remember, dividing is the same as multiplying by a reciprocal. So remember, a reciprocal is just a fraction flipped over. So the reciprocal 1/3 is just 3/1. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply both sides of the equation by the reciprocal of the fraction. So the reciprocal of 1/3 is 3 over 1, or just 3. And when I multiply 3 times 1/3, 3 times 3 is 3, divided by 3 is 1. So you get 1y, and 3 times 7 is 21. So and if you think about it, 1/3 of 21 is 7. If you had $21 and you wanted to divide it up into thirds or in equal 3 parts, 21 divided by 3 is 7. In letter D, it's the same thing. I have 3/4 times D. So I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal of 3/4 on both sides, would just be 4/3. And automatically, the 3/4 is going to cancel out because 4 times 3 is 12, and 3 times 4 is 12. And 12 divided by 12 is 1D. And then now I'm multiplying fractions. So we learned you just go straight across, top and bottom. -1 times 4 is -4, and 8 times 3 is 24. And 4 24ths you can reduce. Okay, I can divide both by 4. -4 divided by 4 is -1, and 24 divided by 4 is 6. So your final answer is -1/6. Remember, you can write your solutions in what we call a solution set. So, MyLab may write your answers like this. You do not have to write your answers like that on a test or anything, but just so you know, and so you're aware, when you look at MyLab, they may express their answers like that. We just call that a solution set. So it's your answer inside a set, which are those braces. Okay, let's look at a couple more. In this next problem here, I have 3 times y equals -2/11. Okay, so again, we could divide by 3, or you could just multiply by the reciprocal. So the reciprocal of 3 over 1 is 1 over 3. So I'm just going to multiply both sides by 1/3. And remember, 3 times 1/3, that's going to cancel out, because 3 times 1 is 3, divided by 3 is 1. So you get 1y, which is what you want. And then again, we're multiplying fractions. You just multiply straight across. So -2 times 1 is -2. And 11 times 3 is 33. And you can't reduce that anymore, so your final answer is just -2 over 33. Okay, and letter F. So here you have two z's. And again, you can use the same methods we've been using. So I want to get rid of the 5 and the 3. So think about, what would 5 and 3 both divide into? What number? That's going to be my least common denominator. 5 and 3 both go into 15. So we're going to multiply everything in the equation by 15. So I'm going to do 15 times z over 5. So that would just be 15z divided by 5. And then I have 15 times -z over 3. So that's just -15z over 3. And then 6 times 15 gives me 90. Now we're going to reduce. So I can reduce 15 divided by 5, that gives me 3z. And 15 divided by 3 gives me 5z equals 90. Okay, both z's are on the same side, which is great because I can combine them. You get -2z equals 90. And then the last step is to divide both sides by -2. And 90 divided by -2 is -45. That's your final answer. Okay, in letter G, we have three fractions. The denominators are 2 and 3. So I need to multiply everything in the equation by the least common denominator. What do 2 and 3 both go into? That would be 6. So I'm going to multiply 6 times x and put it over 2. So that's just 6x divided by 2. And then I have an equals. And then I have 6 times x divided by 3. And then I've got 6 times 1 and then divided by 2. 6 times 1 is 6 divided by 2. In the next step, you're going to reduce. So 6 divided by 2 is 3. 6 divided by 3 is 2. And 6 divided by 2 is 3. So you get 3x equals 2x plus 3. So now I need to get the x's on the same side to combine them. So I have to move this 2x over here. And to move it, I'm going to do the inverse. I'm going to subtract it because it's positive already. So 3x minus 2x gives me x. And then the 2x minus 2x cancels, and you're left with 3. Remember to check any of your solutions. You would just take your answer, so in this case 3, and you would plug it in for x. And you can check it on a calculator. So we know if we put x here, x is 3, you would just get 3 halves, 3 divided by 2. I would have to plug in the 3 here and make sure that this plus this equals 3 over 2. So if I'm looking at a calculator, let's say I take Desmos. Okay, so 3 over 2 is just 3 divided by 2, so it's 1.5. So that means when I plug in 3 into the other side of the equation, it should also equal 1.5. So my equation was x over 3 plus 1/2. So I'm going to do 3 divided by 3, and then plus 1/2. Notice I'm putting the fractions in parentheses because otherwise it won't add it correctly. And you get 1.5 for both. So that's how you know your answer is correct, because it's an equation, so the left side should equal the right side. Okay, and that's it for that lesson. There are some problems here that you can try on your own and practice. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to go over in class with you all.